What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's been about exactly 5 years since I first posted an info video on my truck, and that video received a lot of traction, so I wanted to go ahead and do an update video just to go over some changes I've made to it, as well as introducing the newer generation into the truck scene, because I'm getting old, man. I'm no longer a teenager, haven't been for quite some time. Probably going to be retiring soon, so I wanted to do a video encapsulating my 2011 Chevy Silverado 1500. It has the 4.8 V8, which is great because it does not come with cylinder deactivation. It is an LS trim level, so just one step above the basic work truck. As far as my setup goes, I have 20-inch OG LTZ reps sitting on 35-inch Nitto Ridge Grapps, and these are the 1250 width tires. I do believe you can get them in 1150 as well. As far as my lift setup goes, I still have the good and trusty 3-inch spindles. If you have a 2-wheel drive truck, spindles are definitely the way to go. You can save a lot of money without having to put a real lift kit on there. However, I did add something additional, somewhat of a DIY redneck engineering. So zooming in here, you can see my buddy actually put lug nuts underneath the struts. It kind of serves as like a DIY redneck engineering leveling kit, and so it gave me about an extra 1.5 inches. So it's about equivalent to an 1.5 inch level. So in total, I do have about 4.5 inches of lift up in the front. And previously, when I was sitting a little bit lower, I did have to do the NorCal mod and some slight trimming, and I do have a rough country extended brake lines as well. Overall though, I'm still running factory stock uppers. Pretty much everything else is factory in the front suspension, and so far I've only gone through one ball joint, so I'm pretty happy with it. As far as changes to the front, I did get color matched chrome mirrors, and then I did go ahead and add chrome tow hooks. Unfortunately, these are kind of cheap junk. They started to rust out, so I would honestly recommend just buying some black ones and painting them. And then I did go ahead and put a brand new gold bow tie on there as well. As far as tint goes, I have ceramic all the way around. I've got 35% on the windshield with a 5% sunbrow, and then 5% ceramic all the way around. Keep in mind, on the front, I went ahead and did straight 5%, and then the rear is 20% over the factory 20. Honestly, this is about as dark as I would go. Now, coming in the back here, I do have 2-inch rough country spacers. I swapped them out from the 1 3/4 Bora spacers. I think 2 inches makes the stance look good, because keep in mind, when you put that spindle lift on the front, your front track width is going to be pushed out about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. So it's going to look a little bit goofy with your rear wheels tucked up under there, right? So go ahead and throw some spacers on the back, make sure they're hub centric. And then the largest change is actually with the rear end of this truck. Every single piece of bodywork behind the cab is brand new, except for the bed. I did buy it used, but it is a new to me bed, I guess we'll call it. Rust free from Texas. I used to live in an area where it would snow a lot, and so I decided to go ahead and ditch my old rusty bed, and it came out great. My buddy's dad painted it. Over here particularly, my old bed was bubbling, and then it really just rusted through. So if you have bubbles on your truck, definitely, unless it's a beater and you don't care, definitely do not cheapen out and put fender flares on it, because it'll just trap the rust and make it worse. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I paint matched every piece of rear plastic on this truck is paint matched. I painted everything in the back. Everything up front, I had it done professional, but in the back, I painted it myself. No power tools, nothing. Just straight up using my hands and spray paint. And I don't recommend it. I do not recommend it whatsoever. It was a pain in the ass, and I had to repaint multiple things, but overall, I think it matched perfectly. My truck is a bit of a rare color. It's sheer silver metallic, only ran for, I believe, a few years. and silver is incredibly hard to match. Fortunately, it came out great. Otherwise, everything back here is true chrome handles, true chrome handles up for the doors as well. And then I got these clears off of eBay. They just so happen to perfectly match my truck's paint. And then of course, up top over here as well, I do have a clear third brake light, flawless whips, and then I got my West Virginia sticker to shout out my family's home state. Had that custom made by Bad Bass Creations. I got rid of my trailer hitch. Again, I went through and I redid everything in the back, so everything that was rusty is gone. So I got rid of the trailer hitch, got rid of the spare tire. My exhaust setup is Troll catback straight pipes, so there's 2 factory remaining cats, and then stainless steel 2.5-inch piping back down to these 5-inch exhaust tips. You can buy these tips on Amazon. I'll link them down in the description. This truck sounds great. And then my suspension setup, as you can tell, this truck is a little bit of a leaned out Bubba rig. It is 2-inch drop shackles. Got those from Spindle Source. And then I pulled the rear blocks. You can reuse your U-bolts, but keep in mind, you do have to shave them down, or you can just buy smaller ones. But overall, I think the rear end of this truck came out great. I know this style has been kind of overdone a little bit in the last couple years, but otherwise, I think it looks amazing. And I did also add a backup camera as well. Overall, I would say my truck is squatted about 3 or 4 inches. It's not that much of a noticeable difference. You will see people making comments about it. But again, you know, to each their own. Everyone has their own style. And 4.5-inch lift up front, and then -3 inches in the back. So I'll give you a little side view here. It is leaning quite a bit, but it's not an extreme amount. I also added some quad row RGBW flow wheel lights. They came from MW Customs, but I cannot recommend them because these lights have a pure white setting on them, and within about half a year of ownership, one of the wheel lights pure white setting kind of defaulted to like a disgusting looking yellow. And so because of that, they would not honor their warranty. They wanted me to pay to get a new wheel ring, and then they wanted me to pay to ship both ways. So I don't recommend going with MW Customs. This style of wheel light certainly has not been popular in the past 5 or 6 years, but I still like it, and it gets a lot of attention. People love it. You can choose whatever color or pattern you want. I know a lot of guys these days are running the pure whites. I've thought about switching over, but I thought, you know, if I'm paying $500 for, you know, quad row wheel lights, I better be able to choose whatever color I want. So overall, I like it. They're not in style, haven't been for a long time, but I've been enjoying them. So coming inside here, I personally do not like to add a lot of modifications on the interior. I like to keep it pretty stock. But I do have a 12-inch Sundown sub running to 1,000-watt amp and true 0-gauge wiring. My door speakers are still stock. I thought about getting some, I believe they're called DS18s, but honestly the stock ones are good enough. And then here's how let me fix the exposure so you can see how dark the tint is during the day. It's honestly not too bad. Coming to the inside here, I'm not a big interior mod guy. I like to keep it pretty stock, but I do have an LTZ style Chinese knockoff radio. It's pretty much a direct replica of the radios that came out in the LTZs, Denalis, you know, a lot of the Suburbans and Tahoes of this generation. You can get them pretty cheap on Amazon. They do support wireless Apple CarPlay, which is great. However, I cannot recommend these styles of rip-off radio because every single time I'm running my subwoofer, unfortunately, it will cut out after about 45 minutes. The sub will start cutting in and out. There's also some random beeping and booping. I don't know how else to describe it. That'll like interrupt the song. And I can't really replicate it on camera because it's so random. But unfortunately, you know, if you want an OEM plus looking radio, this is going to be your best bet. So the audio on these are pretty trash, but otherwise, Yeah, that's about it for the interior other than the sub and the radio. This is what the tint looks like during the daytime. Obviously, it's super bright out, so perhaps not the best representation of how dark it can really be. But again, this is 35 on the windshield, 5% sun strip, which is pretty wide, and then 5% right here on the side doors going all the way around. But at nighttime, if you're out in the boonies, you do sometimes have to roll your window down to make a turn, and the only thing you can see in your mirrors and windows are people's headlights. That's about it. This truck currently has 147,000 miles on it. I got it in 2019 with 103. So it's, you know, it's not really used that often, especially in the past year and a half. I've really just been using it as a weekend vehicle. It's no longer a daily driver. But the 4.8 engine is great. No AFM. There are also some 6.2 engines you can get in like the Denali's or with the max trailering packs that also did not come with AFM as well. If you're looking to buy one of those, just, you know, search up a VIN decoder, look up the engine code and make sure it's an engine code that did not come from the factory with AFM. And then as far as the, I guess you can call it a field of view with the squat, as you can see, it's not bad at all. I think a lot of people overreact. Realistically, I can still see perfectly fine. I will say, though, you do get a little bit of vertigo being leaned back permanently. Perhaps this is just something I experienced, but overall, this is about eye level. I'm about 5'10", 5'11", and you can see this is my field of view. Pretty much perfectly fine. It's only once you start getting to, you know, about a 10-inch difference in squat that your visibility starts getting reduced. And I think that's part of the reason why this trend of squatted trucks and Bubba rigs and all that, you know, it's the younger generations, they're still picking it up. And in fact, I would say in some ways that they're definitely carrying it on to the extreme, such as putting 2 cross members on lifts and, you know, all this crazy stuff. But in general, you know, when I first started doing this 5 or 6 years ago, things were so much cheaper. Inflation was not as much of a killer. And also the squat ban laws in the South have largely deterred people from following this hobby. Again, everyone has their own opinion on it. I'm not saying to squat or not squat your truck. Do what you want to do. I've had great results with mine. Otherwise than that, you know, just follow your passion, follow your hobby. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe. If you have any questions about anything, I'm not a gatekeeper. Just let me know.
2-year drought, walking on faith and toughing it out. Hey, what's past is past.